Ciao. Friday 18th September and it is 23:43, 11:43 past midday. I'm going to talk about the word sovereign, sovereignty, Suveran, Souverain, etc. So I'm a bit annoyed. I'm going to be calm, but we're going to have a chat. I'm going to wait for the notifications to kick through, and then we shall get on with the show. Hello there, Fly. What? Remember what we said, Fly. All is well. We'll speak over the weekend. Johnny Tightlips for now, my man. Respect and much love to you. You might have a little bit of a clue where I'm going there, looking at the title. We'd like to express and put to bed a few myths, a few misconceptions, and I'm going to talk and treat the legal Temple London Bar Society with the contempt that it shows us that it is due. No hatred, no malice, but there is going to be an appropriate apportioning of apportionation, it's not even a word, apportioning of the contempt that we'll show. We will reciprocate in some ways, but we will kill them with kindness and love. So a random chat. I wasn't going to come on. I was thinking, my brain was ticking, and I thought, let's go on and have a fishing trip, if that's all right. It's not going to be long, but I'd like to express to you all my dismay at the lack of recognition for some of the legal establishments, circus, I don't know, arbitrators, aka judges and so forth, the legal society, the establishment in itself, and know thyself. I'd like to change that to grow thyself, show thyself, to indeed know thyself. There are steps that you are all taking right now. I've had a lot of conversations over the last week or so. I've had a lot of emails coming in. I've had some of you tell me that you are finding new paradigms, new dimensions, new meaning and new context within your realms, whom you are. Who, what, why, when and where. If you have a look at that thumbnail there, telling you a little bit about the setup that we find ourselves in. Grammarians is a word that I wrote down in a document the other day. I have emailed out 7 documents in the form of proclamations, affidavits, title claims, render of the agnomen, the surname, and I used the word grammarian. Kevin checked that out for me the other night whilst we was on the chat, private telephone call. So I'm not sure if this is a word, and it actually is a word, grammarians. If you are a music fan or musically inclined, you may know of a group or a band, some artists go by the name of London Grammar. I'm familiar with them. I know some ladies that like to listen to them, ladies, the Omegas, that carry a lot of pain with them. They tend to listen to, not all of you, but I know some of you are into this London Grammar. If you've ever listened or heard, she's got a lovely voice. I don't know her name. She sings very well about dark subjects of life, tunnels, travelling. But anyway, London Grammar. Okay, just think about that a minute. Just think about that title. Back in the day, you may have been dancing to a Manchester mix, the 12-inch extended edition. I forget which producer, remixer did this, but I have a 12-inch limited edition black vinyl of, because it does sometimes come in colours, so it's just a standard black vinyl, but it's an exclusive press. I'm sure it's the Manchester mix of Hallelujah inner city, all right? And we got pennies from heaven as well, I think, on the B side of the press. Inner city, you got London 10, and since 1066, 1067, we have the inner city of London. Now, for those of you that don't know, inner city pressure, inner city life. Yes, sorry, that's two scribes gone. Inner city, pennies from heaven. Just think about that. Oh, aye, the pennies come from heaven. Who was the man that was first coining the coins there? I believe it might have been Julius Caesar. Yeah, and just things coming to my mind at the minute. But we're going to stick on sovereign, sovereignty, Suveran, Souverain. I've extensively covered different spellings and Romanian, Swedish, French. Super, S-U-P-E-R, the S, the U, the P, the E, the R, the S, the H, the O, the T, the E, the R, the super sharp shooter with the super sharp shots, the super sharp sovereign with the super sharp shots. Peter Piper picked a pickle pepper. The pickle pepper Peter Piper picked was in propria persona. All right, so there we go. That's charging up the room and the scribes there. I like to say, I've been doing this now, the sovereignty, Suveran movement, as it is called. It's not a movement, it's a belief, it's a faith. If you know who, what, why, when and where you are, then you will be able to command the law and you will not be trapped in the flesh. You know that you have a legal person and your faith will prohibit you from taking the Father's name in vain and annexing yourself to the cognomen, agnomen of Rome and etc. So if you all would like to get a copy or look at a copy of the United Kingdom Corporation that was dissolved in 2008, by the way, fact, we have the numbers and we can prove that, and you'd like to take a look at that certificate, all right, it's a birth certificate, and it's what you get from the General Registry Office when your mum and dad, or the parents, father and mum to us privately, publicly, the pair that rents, go down and perform a registration, the event, the second coming of man, and you will be left, whilst you are civilly inactive, with this certificate, a birth certificate. When you get to 18 in the United Kingdom Corporation there, you become civilly active, and then people, establishments, organisations, corporations, judges, employers, etc. will ask for ID. And if you go and show that ID in the form of that, birth certificate, you didn't look at the bottom where it says in bold black letters, we know about typeface and font and styles and warning. This is not to be used as evidence of identity. No, it's not. It's a financially bonded instrument, amongst other things. It's not a death certificate. No, I'd argue that. If you'd like to say it is, then I'll listen to you, and for why. But where it says, if you have a copy of the certificate, of birth, I'm chatting away so you can go and scramble. If you're on the replay, give it a pause. Go and locate your person's birth certificate. I'm now going to draw your attention to where it says name at the top, when we've discussed what a name is and what things and nouns and objects are. And it will say, for me and my person, on my person's birth certificate, it will say name, and there will be David, and there will be Jason. Both are lowercase, starting with the capital letters, so they're nouns. And then after that little box there, it says what? Have a look. Does it say child's surname or does it say father's surname? And would you like to note how the styles are written there for the father's surname? All right, that will be, for me, my dad's Irish name. All right, that is then capitalized. Latin is not capital, all right, but dog Latin and hyphenated, all capitals Latin, all right, there's lowercase Latin. So my father's surname is after the child's name on the certificate of birth. So it says David Jason, and it will say John, Steve, Amy, Vicky, whatever, and it'll have your middle name, all right. That's what it is on that sheet of paper, all right, so bear with me. But then after that, it will say father's surname. So baby doesn't have a surname ever, a portion to it, but he gets given the father's surname. We call that a clan or an estate name in the private, the legal law, temple, society. The son, bar is son, bars is an equivalent of son, so the son society affixed that onto the sheet. The General Registry Office will denote the father's surname, okay, not mother's, always father's, in the capital letters there. So that's not, if you just carefully look at that top line, it's not yours, all right. So when we go biblical and we quote KJV and we quote testamentary, Abrahamic, Mosaic, and we look at certain passages, chapters and verses of these books, it will tell you about sharing in sins, and if ye do not want to partake with her in her sins, then ye shall leave and exit, all right, Babylonia. If you want to take in the sins, what you will do is you will take that father's surname, and when somebody says, can I have your full name please, I say David Bosch. It's my full name, but it isn't, it's a calling. But if you just bear with me, all right, I know you're all sharp, it may be late at night, but my full name is David. No, it doesn't matter that I've claimed that name, because what they need now is the surname and the date of birth. What they need, the officers, the police enforcers. So if you just say, oh, I haven't got a surname, I don't subscribe to a surname, I have a family, a clan, and an estate name, that would be Smith. So my full name is David. There is no surname. My father has a surname. What's your date of birth? Well, my date of birth is hearsay. I was very, very drunk at the time. No, I'm sorry. I was very, very young at the time. I don't recall when I was born of the waters of my mum. So I can give you my person's date of birth. My person's date of birth would be 9th of May. And the year would be 78. There you go. It's not mine. My date of birth is hearsay. I do not have one. But then at the point of registration, you see, there is a registration date on that certificate somewhere. All right, there will be a date of birth, the day you the day you was delivered. Go and research that word, delivered, and look at the legal etymology, implied meanings and definitions of what delivered products are delivered. Remember what we said from the beginning and how this rolls. So we have a delivery service for your shipping. So mum is classed as a ship and she's delivered the product there. All right, so then say that's the 1st of January, then you have another date, a registration date, and that's when mum and dad's in the General Registry Office and they are handing over your claim of right to the state, and they are performing some bondage here, surety, and that might be the 14th of January. So the ship, the citizenship, is born, second coming of man, if you like, is born on the 14th of January. Man arrived and was born on the 1st of January. So to be fair, your person's date of birth would be the 14th of January, because that's when the paper, the entry from the certificate of extract, all right, and that's when that goes down. So just to recap, it's very confusing to some initially, but you are coming out and being born naturally. I know it's hospital, but some have it at home, you know, the born, the water birth and etc. Kudos to you. Some are in the military states, hospitals. Where did they come from? Well, they were designed for military, to keep the soldiers going, to patch them up. They had a member of the clergy there to perform the last rites. Okay, so that's why we say hospitals are military wards. You go on a ward in the hospital, wards of the state. And to politicians and those that are in Westminster, ministers, secretaries, generals, chiefs of staff, all of these military titles, you know, parliamentary sovereignty. You cannot be sovereign if you are not in your natural state, your pure, clean, non-legal, private, L-O-R-E, lawful status, capacity. And to hear from the establishment, what's this about a sovereign movement? Well, I'm sorry, the only movements I know are orchestral and of my body. My bowels have a movement, you know, once or twice a day. There are movements orchestrally, there are movements done by military tactical movements for the target and objective. So sovereign movement, I'd like to reinforce now. You'll have seen Russell J. Gould pick up there a bit later than the rest of us, but purple thumbprint and sovereignty. You've heard Brother Santos of the Bonacci fam talk about sovereignty. You've heard many and various. I am one of the, I don't know, king and queen makers of the Britain landmass for this time being, with endowing you with the information, the articulation, the sources, the references and the citation. I've put up lots of quotes before now from presidents and the historical timelines of quoting of sovereignty and what that is. So if you can stand there in front of anybody in any arena and argue concisely about whom you are, what you are, when you are, why you are, and why you don't claim certain titles and names, and you have a calling and you separate. That's what sovereignty is really about. It's not about gold, money, estates. It's about how you conduct your business yourself. And if you want to go and deal with the devil's advocate and walk over to the debtor, remember, when you are looking at debt and death, debtors and interest, etc. You watch the videos I've put up and make your notes there. There's a lot of articulate, concise information of the 700 plus videos that we have put together. I know that's a lot. But, yes, you will find along the way on your journey. I'm still behind Pazio massively, and quite a lot of other channels out there and content makers. You will see that the Queen was handed sovereignty by the people, not the men, but the people. That's a clue, okay? To the people of the United Kingdom. I remember the Prime Ministers coming out to talk to the people, easy people, Daddy Dragon people. Yeah, well, you're not people, you're men of the womb, and you are, however you want to spell it or say it, you are sovereign, because we, the people, handed over. But man is sovereign, people are legal, natural people, legal people, judicial people, divine people, supreme people. We don't want any people, all right? Sheeple and people, no thank you. You can choose how you wish to present and what titles you wish to claim. So if we are going to award something to the British monarch there, the Britannia representative, if you like, and she was coronated and swore an oath. It's in the historical timelines, and she was awarded the sovereignty by the people. It's in the effing history books. So no one's having a go at you and effing at you and jeffing, but for the establishment and the agents and the shills and the ministers and the parliamentary sovereignty. You see, you can't be sovereign if you're in a commercial, public, avenue there and you're in an office. Okay, so the Queen being given sovereignty in front of the world by the people of England and Wales, the landmass. Okay, so you can't give something which you do not possess. It's an impossibility. So she was appointed and anointed into that office, QE2, Queen Elizabeth II. So it's not hard really to prove and to articulate, and it's part of my faith. It's not part of a USP, a unique selling point. It's not something we've done to trick you, though. But you will be able to later down the line, once we have enough of a collective to articulate our intent and our ways of thinking. So, we got faith. We don't need Bibles. Don't take the Michael. Hear my recital. It's quite vital. I do hold the title. You get high on the opposite of nightle. And this is how we roll. So it's an interesting time that we're at, where Parliament and others, it's a word that's bandied around quite a lot at the minute. And if you haven't heard of the word sovereignty, where have you been? Sovereign capacity, sovereign member nations. How can a nation, when you're let me think, when you colonise, you're a colonial claimed landmass, and somebody comes along and, the colonial wars that we had, India being one of the most horrific that I could go and reference here. Apologies, much love. We will always apologise for the crown and its empire, and the sun never setting on England because it colonised many places. Ungodly colonisation, nations that start a war, and presidents that launch wars, they will have Bibles. They are men of religion, not faith. And they go out and they colonise. Columbus and Cook we'll mention, all right? And they claim they become a colonial extension of the landmass, which has sent the boat and the captain and the chiefs and the warriors out there, and they colonise. Once these colonies get their once we've pillaged them and took everything that's worthy of, and don't really value them. India is a prime example. I'm not going to get into all of that now. We're going to stick on the sovereignty, but we'll splinter off and give you enough to get you into the right areas. Once we've plundered and pillaged and took the PISS out of them, cut their hands off in some instances, really, really disgusting, horrific, sinful, ungodly ways that we do this, we then may leave that land and go elsewhere and plunder and pillage. And these nations eventually, or these colonies, they will eventually get their independence and become a nation. And the crown lost its grip on quite a lot of the empire through independence and I don't know, we'll call it the expansion of intelligence law, the introduction of UN and human rights and governing international bodies of supreme laws there. And I've already mentioned that we have the ministers in the UK corporation that's dissolved since 2008, and they are governed by the ministerial code. And the ministerial code is governed by international law, and the international law applies the rules to the force of law and the rule of law. And there are either rules or there are either laws. So these grammarians have done a grand old trick on us. Not only have they lied about the true accounts of history and hidden the colonial sins and murder that's been committed. Well, yeah, I'd argue that's true, and we can prove that. And then they teach the history, the mystery of the history, so you don't see my story. If you'd like to write down mystery, you'd like to write down history, and you'd like to write down my story, look at those three words, because history is a mystery and it's about your story. That's hidden, so they can patronize or patronize, if you want, but patriots for the country, to defend Queen and country, and be patriotic about this. Unforgivable, like I said about the scalping in America and the indigenous originals there. We got taught, I did anyway, about the horrific Buffalo Bill, Colonel Custard, the pincer movement. Yeah, I remember bits of history from school. It's the one subject that I was really happy to embrace. I loved it. I didn't know why, but here we are now. It's apparent. And they hidden quite a lot of the travesties from us. And it was the generals and the militia that wanted to know how many squaws and buffaloes and squaws, women, sorry, disrespectful, but words that were used in the book. I don't mean any disrespect by that. And the children, and they didn't have any way of keeping count and proving to the generals and the militia that was plagiarising the lands there, the bloodshed. And they decided to prove how many they killed, allegedly. So history is edited now, the renaissance that is underfoot, and they decided to take some parts of the scalp there to prove and collect them up in a bag. Disgusting, sickening. I'm sorry, but here we are. So to be sovereign, it's not to hurt anybody, it's to obey the common laws. It's to know your history, it's to know your foe, it's to know your oppressor, it's to know your opponent, it's to know your faith, it's to know the systems and the intricacies surrounding all of that. It's to manage your affairs and stand there in proud, full, firm substance of authentic flesh and blood, natural man. So there is no sovereign movement, anybody there. It is how it is. And when you've seen emails from me or the footer or the sign off or some documents with it in, you will see about advocates and surety and princes and peace and masters and lords and Christ Jesus, not Jesus Christ, but Christ Jesus, the Redeemer, the Saviour, the Messiah. He was crucified. He had to die to be resurrected and born again. So where we had Brother John Harris come along and put his, and respect and RIP, I will not speak illy of the dead and the past ones, but confusion there with the certificate, the birth certificate and what to do with that, what it is, what it denotes. And I've pointed out in the last 20 minutes, 25 minutes now, simple, concise pathway of what they do to man. Now, it was mentioned before about this certificate and what we should do with that, and you can get endless amounts of these certificates. Really, you're not just limited to one. You could order 10 copies. Why would you need 10? Think about that. You don't need 10, you only need one at a time, surely, until you lose it or it gets damaged. Why are we able to order multiple amounts of these financial instruments that aren't to be used as evidence of identity? Why is it that they are so keen to have a date of birth and a surname and names in general? Because they can't do business with you in a legal way or fashion until they have something which is theirs presented back to them. So you can't represent man. We present by special appearance in a non-representative, I say representatory, but I don't think that is a word, representative, Oxford, Collins, and etc. Dictionaries there of grammar and grammarians, you will pick up on this. You can't do the business. If you just say, I'm called David, I don't have a surname, and I'm not sure of my date of birth. I've got infant amnesia. Infantile amnesia. You don't want to classify yourself as an infant, really. Infants, they come from where? From the front line. Bullet catchers. Infantry. Okay, infants. Infantile amnesia at this moment. I'm a child of God. So there you go. You are viewed as an infant in the eyes of a court sometimes if you have representation, because then you don't know who you are, and man isn't presenting, and you are representing something of which they already have and they are familiar with and they recognize, and it is theirs, crown copyright no less. So you understand a little bit more about knowing that to be sovereign is a very real and serious claim to be making. They want to belittle you, they want to put it down, they want to confuse you. They say that we're playing games. Well, we are, often on a court or in a place of business, and we have to do games, rules. These are the rules to their game. We are in the game of life. We're all in this game together here. And I don't know if it's a testing ground for when we get out and we are rested into the ground for your eternal rest. All right. So the more dead that you have, the more interest you will have. Putting into the ground, INTER, and rest is your eternal rest. So you go in your grave, and they are interesting the dead body into the ground. So that's your interest explanation. And in a bank, they have debt and death. And the more death they have, the higher the interest they can charge, the more debt. So it's very dark, and it's been a long journey for us. We are one of the realms, the world's leading sovereign platforms, SPLs, for various and many reasons. And when something is represented, you see, it's something which is already known to the legal system. So representation, represent at ion, is something you want to be very, very careful about. And the ways that this machine works, there are ways to stop it. Now, there are correct ways and there are shortcuts. And those of you that have played the game a while may have heard the words estoppel. And tacit acquiescence has caused an estoppel, which is also known as deadlock, which means neither party can now move. It's like a checkmate on a game board of chess there. And those of you that play chess, I do not. I've tried to learn, heavens above. It's too, you may scoff at this. It's somebody that analyses and goes through history and has a look at intricacies of words and etymology. We've gone deep, we've gone dark, and we've gone warp speed. But chess, the game there, very, very clever game. I wish I could play it one day, maybe. But there you go. It's you get stuck. That isn't discharge. That isn't satisfaction guaranteed. You haven't serviced any debts. You haven't got rid of anything, but you've put them in a position which means they are unable to proceed any further, because by their own definitions, statutes, rules, codes, styles, etc., they have messed up and they've gone into a position of default or fault and default. And so now, if you call this out and you make this knowledge and you claim that you've asked for proof of authority, jurisdiction for easy comparison, and they haven't given that, I've got the case law. I'm not going to speak it out, but I sent it to somebody today. The case law for why, if man asks, or a party asks for proof of authority and jurisdiction, implied authority and jurisdiction, and one does not get that, much like a failure to perform in 30 days and a further 7 days given the GDPR DSAR subject access request, it's considered a criminal offence. Now, it's either criminal, a crime, or it's an offence. But they like to mess you up and confuse you with what is what. and so they will, much like the failures. So then you can enforce that with the regulatory governing bodies and get them fined in some instances. You can use that to articulate further down the line. So when we go and we say we would like to question and get the information and it's denied, you need to know why you're saying that and what would be the correct parameters of the law realms, past common law history with regards to how you back up what you're wanting. Because it's all right, it's one thing asking for something, but when it's denied, requiring requests can be denied. So when you wish and require, as we said in the early days, then what do you want from me, sovereigns? And you tell me what you want, I'm not necessarily going to give that. What is it that I am duty bound and obligated to give you for your requirements? That is a mandatory a mandatory duty that I will have to do, and failure is no excuse. All right, so these are just the little twists that they put on, and what you need to be aware of. And sovereignty, Suveran, French, and etc. Swedish, Romanian, French, English. Why is it that word? And Superman. Superman is a sovereign man. You all are Super Mario back in the day. Super duper, Super Koopa, Super Koopa Trooper. So if you just like to bear with, we're going to have some further comparisons in these 7 notices and claims, titles, proclamations, declarations, announcements, claims. And you will be in your sovereign capacity when you get hold of these. We've speeded it up. I've said the 21st of the 12th, 2020, for the 6,000-year planetary solar system planetary alignment. And because of the threats and the fear, the intimidation, the buffoonery, the U-turns, the fact that the UK government has still got on its website that COVID-19 is classified as a highly contagious infectious disease, and yet here we are going through a second wave. See as a wave, I don't know why it's a wave, but sound phonics have waves. But we got the second coming of the invisible enemy, that is an influenza strain. There is no cure for influenza and colds, and the way that they mutate, these infections that may cause viruses, disease in the body. And here we are again with contradictory information. And I just think that I'd like to share with you some other information that has come to light that I put on Facebook today, that the fact checkers removed due to them fact checking it and censorshipping certain bits about what was one of the cruxes of it was they contain possible aborted cells from fetuses. Products, you see, I'm sorry, warning, abortion topic. If you are affected by this, turn off and give me 5 minutes. I'll be swift. I have been with a lady that has been affected by this, a previous partner, and I say this with love and respect. But product of conception. When I say delivery room and products are delivered, the product of conception. So Pepsi Cola was in the news, was it not, some years ago, about the connection of the taste and the wanting to and things that were put in for ingredients there. Dark times. Skin creams, stem cells, that will do. So you see, we are in a dark time with these products that they use, and apparently these companies have got quite a knack for putting together a witch's broth, if you like. And I shared a post which was along these lines: questions to ask before you let any medical, military, legal, non-compos mentis, non-legally trained. What else have I got to bring you here? You know what the caduceus is, don't you? The staff with the 2 snakes going around it. Well, there's the Asclepius or the Asclepius. They got mixed up with the. I'm not going to get into all of this now, but part of my sovereignty training and initiation and coming to was some years ago. Brother Santos was saying about the caduceus and the DNA, the helix, the rod, the snake, the intertwining, Mary and Joseph, Jesus going up, the Kundalini. Proper went deep, and he happened to mention about the yeah, and I didn't know of it at the time. So Asclepius, 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 and they are two very different things. Hospitals, military, persons, legal. It's a bit like being arrested by the state troopers or the officers and etc. They take the body in the flesh, but they ask for the legal details because man cannot be recognised. You see, man cannot be represented to an officer, to a court, to a hospital, to any business, even a school. The registrar that's taken the tick, checking in, you know, and the state that we put our children through. So we have this interface where they take the body, the flesh, but they process the legal, and nobody knows any different. It's normal. It's what everybody does. It's a bit like when you question a bank or a financial institute that may be chasing your legal person for repayments that have fallen, or you've fallen behind with on your holiday payments, or your business is going down the pan because we've got, as of the 19th of March 2020, government UK, COVID-19 is no longer classified as a highly contagious infectious disease. If you'd care to bring up Duck for me ducks, and I put in UK Gov COVID-19 HCID, Hotel Charlie Indigo Delta, and press enter and feast your eyes on that. It's still there. It's still right there, you know. What the feck be going on? And these stories and evidences and times that we're in, to be sovereign is to know your foe, is to know that the devil's greatest trick, all right, Satan's greatest trick is what? It's proving to man that he doesn't exist, that he will get you to contract into sin without ever showing you his face. You will never see him. Much like banks, when I was on about the holiday payments and stuff, sorry I got distracted there, tangented it off. No bank has ever lent anybody any money. Not at all, not a penny. We can prove that. We've got all the evidences. And when you ask that in a court and you press on and you give the case law, we've got it again, it's got Mahoney in the name, this case law. And they've announced that this might be the way that it is, and that no bank has ever lent any money. Credit though, now that's different. They might have lent some credit, okay, and pounds, credits of pounds, Federal Reserve notes, privately issued bank notes that are actually debt notes. So that's to be sovereign, to know your foe and to know the game that is at hand, to know that you have persons, to know that your faith is the strongest weapon, not a firearm, not a weapon, a sword, people going around shanking each other, is that what it called, murking each other, robbing each other blind. A shout going out to eBay and PayPal. We'll talk about that later. Nearly sent a gram troy ounce 24 carat 99.9 pure gold coin to somebody via eBay. This is what I mean. I rang up PayPal and says it looks like that an item has been sold here and there's a high value item. I says I'd like to go through the particulars now of selling a trust asset on behalf of somebody. I'm the trustee, I'm legally responsible, and we've got a sale. It's gone through, there's an amount of money in the PayPal account. I said if I send this gold coin out, sovereign, it's a sovereign coin, so it's to do with sovereignty, I'm going to link it that way, a Britannia 2015 troy ounce 24 carat 99.9% pure gold coin. It's got some, what's an ounce of gold now, 1,500 quid thereabouts. And so I send this out in the post, tracked and traced and recorded. What else do I need to do to ensure that this doesn't go awry? I said, because I've had emails before that look like they're from eBay, and I lost out by sending a phone to Ireland, and the money never came through. And the reason for that is I got an email from PayPal saying, before we let you have the money that we've received from the buyer, we need proof of shipping. Once we get proof of shipping, we will release the money, and you will get it in your account in 24 hours. So I went and sent a phone because I thought I'd got a PayPal email to Ireland, and I got the shipping number for that, track and trace, all at my own expense. And I emailed PayPal that had emailed me, no reply. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. So he rang up PayPal. Hey, you're something amiss here. Where's the money that for this tracking this phone and the tracking number I sent you? What phone? What tracking number? I said, what do you mean? What phone? What tracking? What do you mean? What do you mean? Is what they said back. I goes, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? I just answered this email because you told me to give you a tracking number. It's here, look, eBay. Same as the eBay actually email, the exact clone of it, the screen, the print, the colours, the logo. He says, that's not from us, Dave. We've got no record of that. I went, shut up. You go and check again. £50 lost out. So that won't happen again, will it? Sovereignty. Know your foe. I says, so this sovereign coin here that I've sold on behalf of a trust is paid with PayPal. Over £1,000, nearly, a small fortune to some, to me, to our lass, to whoever it may be at the time, to your lass, when it's not your property and you're the trustee of it, you need to make sure that this is done correctly and honourably, lawfully, legally compliant if you're lawful, legally, etc. And they said to me, we don't insure gold when you have an issue with it, so the buyer could ask for that money back and we wouldn't be able to do anything about it. I went, oh, can you repeat that, please? I think the line broke up. I just wanted to get it again clearly. We do not insure gold items via PayPal payments and offer protection because it's too much of a wrought area. I says, okay then, so why when I listed this item did eBay tell me that it has to have a mandatory PayPal assignment to it? I said, if it's not covered because it's a golden coin, a shekel of gold, why would PayPal mandatory apply that you have to use? Why would eBay mandatory apply on the listing that you build up to sell that it has to have the PayPal allocation? If it's not insured, tracked, traced or anything, then it's not fair that they've asked buyers to do that. I said, I've wanted to put cash on delivery, private bank transfer, and then I'll go down and give it them and form a contract in front of 2 witnesses and get it done that way. And they said, yeah, what you should do here, Dave, to be fair, is to refund the PayPal credits that have come along, message them and sort out other methods of payment, draw up a contract, yes, and so they can say they voluntarily, of their own volition, have entered into this purchase. And I'm like, surely eBay should have said something like that when you list a high value golden item or gold itself. They didn't say anything to me. I says, and they've told me to use PayPal, so eBay are liable. Surely it's their system. They know the rules. I don't. I've never sold any gold before. I haven't even got any gold. It's just a coin that someone's asked me to get rid of for them because they're not very tech savvy. And says, and I'm building a website and doing law and whatnot, and he thought I'd be the one to be trusted to do this. And I said, and here I am ringing you up, and it's a good job I did because I was so busy. I nearly just put the coin in a jiffy bag, went down to the post office and sent it off. I says, and it would have got somewhere and they could have reversed the money and you wouldn't have done anything, and I'm left then as a trustee with no money to give the trust for the asset. The asset's gone and PayPal and eBay don't want nothing to do with it. I said, that's some kind of grand design there, isn't it? I went, I've been a user, I suppose my person, the account that I manage, and I've used PayPal, begrudgingly under duress, but it works well in some ways. It doesn't work well in others. We're not happy, I know that, with the company and who it is, loan scum, etc. But word to the wise, that sovereign coin didn't go anywhere today. I refunded the buyer the money and I sent some messages, let me tell you. So being sovereign, it's not a movement at all. It's a way of life. It's an old way of life. in some ways, and the sovereign prince of princes, master, lord of lords, the man who had to die to be resurrected to save mankind. He died for our debts, he died for our sins. It depends what book you read to what it actually says he died for. But in the KJV, you will find a certain text and context within that. So I'm here to tell you today that there is a Christian remedy in law that you can use and you can get out with. The Garden of Eden is open, but paradise is closed, it seems. So if you'd like to walk the path and get out of this legal, sinful Babylon, Satan, devil, details, etc., it's amazing. It really is. Big old companies like that, big old courtrooms, big old corporations, they don't know nothing. Anybody challenges you on this, ask them if they're legally trained. That's the first question I'd put to them. Are you legally trained now? No, who are you to tell me anything? Who are you to judge? Who are you to decide? I'd like to speak to, the legal department. How do I get hold of them? And I will inform, and they shall make their decision. The legal teams themselves. So again, often they have to go and check, and it's interesting. But you don't really need, as I said before, to use the word sovereign or to tell anybody that you're sovereign in a way. You can just say that you have a faith, and your faith doesn't allow you to subscribe to being a person. And Claudio reiterated the other week on that Sovereign Stars podcast, human rights, and the fact that every human is afforded the right to be recognised in front of the law as a person, means that you can choose to be that, or you can choose to decline. I respectfully decline that offer, to be fair. I don't see the benefit in it. There is an international way out of Babylon to the Garden of Eden, and furthermore to paradise, but it's a spiritual, conscious time for you. It's a pathway, a journey, and it is a sovereign, authentic being, natural flesh and blood man, where persons become persons become detached. The persona is what it's called, the person. All right, the gold coin there has got a picture of on the Queen on one side, and it's got the Britannia on the other, Lady Britannia, and we've got the Catholic faith there condemning the flesh of the female and the temptations and the sin and etc. But yet we got a female monarch and we have a female Britannia, and that Britannia there, the lady with the shield, and she's often got the pole, etc., is a personification of Britain, Britannia, all right, the Britannia coin from the 80s, and the personification, person, if I see, personification, yes, we write that word down. And persona, person, personage, and barratry is what the Temple BAR commit when they knowingly present a man as a person and say out. All right, ignorance of the law is no excuse, and those that don't know that they have any rights, therefore have no rights, according to their maxims. So the person, the persona, the personification, interesting, dark and deep. Person, Anglo, English, Anglo-Saxon, Collins, Cambridge, Oxford, legalese. You take your biblical, and persons in the Bible and reference into, it's incredible what we've found. So self-governing is an alternative to sovereign. I am a self-governing man of faith, and my faith does not allow me to be a person. What faith is that? Well, I'm a traveller, a nomadic traveller, which a traveller is an ethnic minority, don't forget. So when somebody asks you, What is your ethnicity? I now have been writing for some years traveller. You can't tell me I'm not when I am. And I've travelled a lot. I have the tickets and the the sat nav data to prove that I'm constantly moving and travelling. And have you got anything upon your person today? What? I'm insulted. Do not. It's against my faith to be a person. It's not a free man movement. It's not a sovereign movement per se. It's not constitutional. It's the way that it is, and it comes with the understanding, inner standing, overstanding, queen and king standing. As you are as king, the questions there, and you become as king. Don't let them ban the king with the banking. Ban the king of the banking. So the City of London and the pennies from heaven with the corporate production of paper, selling it to the government. Pennies from heaven, pennies from Satan is what that should have been called. Sorry, Inner City. I did like you and I did buy your tunes, but interesting times. And Depeche Mode, we're going to take away, yes, your own personal Jesus, and we're going to replace it with man. And we're going to replace it with consciousness. We're going to replace it with love. We're going to replace it with articulative conjecture to the contrary. And we will treat the contempt of the establishment with the contempt that it deserves. It's a sad day when we see public liabilities and duties and obligations that aren't necessarily for man be bestowed on man, civil. It's a sad day when we get involved with families and we see there's a breakdown and things, and we need to help, but we haven't got the full structure there. So Kevin and I are working quite hard to put some further paperwork together to help you all understand and manage your estate. When say estate, I mean biological blood and bones estate. Doctors, nurses, legal establishments, schools, banks, finances, companies, loans, credit cards, agreements, etc. And you can work this out very, very simply. We will get a flow chart, and it will be all nice and tidy. So that's about it, really. I'm going to go to the comments, and then I'm aware of the time. I know I had 6 hours sleep last night. I was watching dark series. It's called The Rain, and I'm not promoting it, but those of you that like the darker side of fiction and entertainment, The Rain is I think it's done in Sweden, filmed. And it's about a virus that gets emitted through the rain, and what happens is you die if you get it, but there's some that don't die. That was a project, and I ended up watching series 3 in its entirety from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. This morning. So Birmingham and the Midlands, the East, the East Yorkshire and areas, various restrictions and lockdowns for something that the government doesn't classify as a highly contagious infectious disease. I'm not belittling this, and anybody that's been affected by any type of influenza and illness, I dare say on this channel, scribes, there won't be too many, but there are some, and I don't know what go on here. You're asking me about mandatory vaccinations and protections, and the fact that there is no recourse for medical damages, medical injury that will happen, that Bill Gates has admitted it will happen, and there will be, we got the Georgia Guidestones there with the 4 stones, double-sided, 8 languages, telling you how to live after the apocalypse, etc. Madness, I know, but true. We've got disclosures and agendas and things in films. It's warping your very mind. So I, for one, have had enough. You've had enough, and we need to make a stand, like anybody that's being attacked. Like I was going to say, like Custer's last stand, but that's wrong. We are not military. We're not oppressors. We're not murderers. We're not thieves. We are just simple. I speak for myself there. We are just simply natural, organic, sentient, wholesome, loving, authentic, non-military, non-violent, non-evil, you know, to some extent, a large portion of us, but the ones that are out there trying to trick, rob, defraud, stab, and shoot you for whatever. It's dark times, and your ignorance is why this channel, I, Kevin, SPLS Pro, on the Facebook and the private domain, do what we do. We want to give you a boost, a head start, and we'd like you to walk with us, stand on the shoulder of giants and look over and see what the horizon has to offer, rather than us in fear and ignorance and desperation kneeling at the feet of greed. I could go on for hours on all of this. I've nearly had an hour now, so I'm going to look at the room, check your comments and bounce back, and I think we've covered enough there for the time being. And I've got, oh wow, I've got such tiny print. I'm going to turn another handset on because I've got issues, technical issues. I had another handset blow the other day. I think that's the 5th this year. Laptop is not on, so just bear with me. And I'm going to go and watch this cast, and then I can see your comments that way on another one, on a bigger screen. And then we get off. But thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. If you've got any questions, I will field them if you want, and we'll see what they are. Movements. Preposterous. Alright, I'm just getting in now. I see. Oh, it's changed. I'll say hello, good morning, welcome, arrivederci, ciao bello. So you got Suveran, sorry, is that what I put? Then Suveran, yes, Superanus, Latin, and then you got super, which is French, and then Suveran is the last one. I have how you would pronounce sovereign, Suveran initially, so there's a lot of spellings there. It's all one meaning. Let's give a shout out to the Midnight Scribes. Lisa, Goethe, Jesus, Fly. Maybe we got it wrong this time. Lol has always meant lots of love. Laugh out loud is what it normally means, and lots of love. I don't really use those abbreviations, but I see. I see. 1 minute. Have I got I want top comment, live comments, not top comments. That's why it's not right. That's better. So Lisa's gone. Ciao bello. Yeah. I agree with JJ. I like your lol better. Yes, Goethe. Hello. Informal, also abbreviation for laughing. Ah, JJ's going in with the definition of it. Yep. Acceptance of crown copyright. Never do that. You cannot use it either. You know, legalese is crown copyright, to be fair. I want some eternal rest. Yes, an eternal slumber, into rest. It's a new thing, dum when we used to write letters, you know, before. Bless. Yeah, we don't. I will play you, David. I am a noob at chess. Oh, wow. Okay, then. Yeah, I need to... it's a tactical game, isn't it, for minds and thinkers. Never had time to learn it. I tried. I know the horsey goes in a L shape. I know pawns only go one at a time. And that's it. Rook. I forget. I think I used to know that, but I would like to know. Nice. Moves and how to do that, Goethe. Thank you. Notice of fault, notice of default. There you go. That's your CA3 conditional acceptance 3-letter notice. I used to play battle chess on the 512 Amiga. Good Lord, Dave, showing your age, my man. It's the horsey. Mine too. Yes, I. Giddy up, horsey. The wooden horse, not the iron horse. On the board while knocking my opponent's pieces. Happy days. Learning to play chess from bottom. I was on about bottom today with a man called Ian from Shaky Wakey. I believe it's Pontefract. Where is he from? Where is he from? I was just on about Rick Mail and bottom and filling our pants with custard, the gas man being sellotaped up to the door, the green Mona Lisa, comic strip presents, the young ones, Alexis Sale, Hemsworth, Wakefield, yeah. That's us, Ian from Wakefield, Hemsworth. Big shout to you. Did you ever see Filthy Rich and Cat Flap? You must. Oh, I might have seen that. Viruses are created by our bodies for when we need them. They are not contagious. Biggest lie. Yes, I get it. Fist bump for you. That's right. They are created by the body. You don't catch them, and they're generally from infections, diseases, pollutants, toxins, foreign bodies, radio waves, disharmony, non-harmony, free radicals. I'll go see you later, JJ. Yes, you are. Good Lord, you've got a title given to you there, look, from Goethe, JJ. Albert, easy now. What we saying? Long time no see. Yes, sir. Good to see you, Albert. I'm smiling just at the thought of you, my brother. Good man. There's a damn good man there. Reptilians do not know the sovereigns are cooming. Tej, you're making me blush. Yeah, that's right. Reptilians, Dagons, Dragons, Dracos. That's too much there in the mix. There really is. Bless you though. I like that. Thank you. That's made me smile. Chippy. What? It's all promises. Yeah. Trust is man's one true currency. I can only promise to pay. Yes, because there is no backing. The gold insolvency, bankruptcy. Yes. Insolvency Act. When I say bankruptcy, insolvency. Promises, promises. Trust is the currency. It should not be sold. More bubbles have popped. What's he on about? Precious metals will see new highs. Yeah, about $2,000 I reckon I've heard up to now. Bitcoin might be getting precious metal backing, one of the types of coins. Speculative, I know, but yes, Albert, not even promises. A fiat currency backed by debt cannot make promises as it's already owed bankruptcy. So what we do the biggest and best tax return out there, and we return the father's name, and the requirements for alternative provisions shall be sought after. Yep, we all, when you look at it, we're all insolvent, glue, insolvency, solvents, madness, stuck, charges, adhesion contracts, more glue. Shh, don't stand in the glue. Mars Minkle, you little tinkle. How's it doing? That's another name I haven't seen for a while. John Harris days. That's what I mean. We've come a long way since then. Man's a living legend, but controversy, and we've moved along, and I'll leave it there. But we pay love and respect for what go on, what happened, pioneering in the early days. He was mixing with the militia that could be Masonic. When we say that, agents and shills. I got some information about a lot of them on the circuit at the minute. I see MOB was saying something about Sasha Stone and Kevin Arnott. I think Kevin Arnott might be another name for somebody else, probably someone from the CLC, and he was mixed up, John, with with some bad uns. Not that he was a bad un, but like I saw it at where Justin Walker, Tom Crawford, Mark Salon, and certain others that refused to speak and message and chat and slag off and bitch and nasty, cold, arrogant towards me for no reason other than I might have spoke a bit fast. You know, is that a crime? Not really. Everybody's got a stigmatism and an area that they can improve. So I don't know. I'd like just to say a few names there that haven't helped out, and the British Constitution were one of them, and then the information that's come out with that, and being besmirched in front of witnesses, lots of witnesses. One of them was called Popeye, one of them was called Lee. You know, got lots. You know, I can still remember, and the way that they speak and the conduct. And the man there, Popeye, was outside Tom Crawford's house. He was one of the 800 that was defending that man's second home. And whilst me and Popeye were walking up the stairs to go and I don't know, mingle and minkle, he said hello to Tom, and he got snubbed. Yeah, we had Brother Tobley on Facebook say that he's got an email from somebody about Masonic connections, and Tom was bigging him up and saying that he was in the club. So John was mixing with like people like that back in the day with all that concise information. I'll leave it there. No claims made, only the ones that I can prove and I've got witnesses for, and that where I've been, you know. So what's that? Been chilling, listening to you, Dave. It's therapeutic and very informative. Evening all. Much love to you. 69. I love Battle Chess. The animations were great. What's that? Some kind of Star Wars chess or something that I can remember seeing on there, where they play in Chewbacca and somebody, and that little digital one. Is that what you're on about? Probably not. No. Stocks are going to drop, I reckon, very soon as they're down. What do you mean, wooden stocks? Did idiot? Yeah, they are. They are manipulating the markets, Albert. I did say to the owners of these assets that you might want to hold on until the markets drop and it goes up and you get more, but they're not greedy. Well said. You are very financially astute there, brother. FA. And I will say, yeah, I don't doubt that, and I can see it happening. Silver will rocket up a bit. It's got medicinal value. £20 an ounce, is it really? Yeah, compared to gold at 1500 plus, so or thereabouts. You see the peaks and the troughs. It's ones that are in it for the short term, like the Bitcoin as well, won't really see an increase more than some pounds, but ones that are in it long term, I think that you look back at the years, say the last 50 years and the prices, and your eyes might water. If we could all get together and do this collectively and draw up a private agreement and join a private trust and do that, you know, that would be one of the most wonderful things that man could do. But we'll leave that for another day. Agents for the wicked, no doubt. I see today Polish MEP and Finnish MEP pulling EU up on the rule of law basics, saying EU had broken rule of law and being... Oh, you've got Poland, yeah, they've, the far right... Well, no, wait, the coalition government has collapsed due to something to do with the animals and the weather politics. I don't know, I only heard a bit. I don't know if I heard it or read it now. I've done too much today. I've had my head in thousands of words, KJV, proclamations, declarations, affidavits, and the like there. So you'll have to forgive me. It's been a long one. It's getting close to crash. The shit is going to hit the fan if you don't have a test. You don't do jack. It's looking dodgy, peeps. Yeah, we've put some conditional acceptances on the .com, the private domain. If you're on there, go check out your resource. Literature vault and library. If you're not on there, don't worry, it's on the Facebook SPLS Pro. Go to our homepage, click on the blue F if you don't want to donate the 12 credits for the annual support, and go to the blue F, go to files and check out the exemption I've put there for... Somebody sent these via email. The exemption, thank you to that sister. I think you all know who you are. Remain private. She's a very private lady. I cannot say other than that. And say bonjour mon ami. Murky bucket. Yes, you will find some exemptions. I am exempt signs, notices, A5 to print out. You'll find 3 documents uploaded. There's lots in there for you, and I'm going to leave it there. I don't want the video to be deleted, but those of you that know where to go and check out your new additions and your conditional acceptances. There's one for vaccinations. I have been sent, and I've modified it because it's NHS medical practitioners. There's questions there to ask. The picture that Facebook fact checked and removed is on the Indiglo community pages. If you go to my channels, Indy's channel, I'm just the administrator here. It's not my channel, it's YouTube's. I simply manage and admin it. But if you go to the community page of Indy, you will see the I'm going to do it now and read it you out for those that can't or don't know where it is. What did it say? How to legally decline a vaccine. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Please share. That come from somewhere on Facebook. I think it was Holistology, facebook.com Holistology. That was sent via email, and I find that interesting that Facebook would ban that. The fact checkers. That's why we've built the private domain, so we can we can do stuff privately and not be bothered. We're in our fourth year this year, and the Sovereign private, foundation trust, educational trust. We'll be live tomorrow, Kevin and I believe, about 9:30, and we shall also be live Sunday night for you on the public side. All right. So we'll see you then. Back to the room. Any questions, any comments, any feedbacks? Do you like the thumbnail? Star Warsy type there. The fraudulent act gives government a legal person with whom to deal directly. The legal person has your name. Now it has your calling, which is a name for the legal person, but your calling is given to the legal person, and you got the name for the legal person, and then the father's surname joined, annexed, cognomen, agnomen of the Rome there, and they're all capital letters. So you see, when I tell you to look on the birth certificates of your person, you will see your first and middle names, forename, Christian name, Christian calling, forename, and if there is a middle name or not there, calling, and then the capital of the father that's you will take in vain, and then you will not be delivered because you didn't know what, forgive them, they don't know what they do. Thank you, Alice. Albert, COVID-19 closes and soon for silver and even more precious metal. Mines with COVID-19 closed will cause it. All right, soon for silver and even more precious metals. Proclamations. Now that is a thing. Public notices backing legislation. No, try find some from main legislation. Good luck. Yeah. No one mentioned Sweden. No lockdown and low cases. Funny that. And thanks for the info, Dave. Yeah, Sweden, we got Anders, haven't we? Brother Gansders is our Swedish connection, first-hand knowledge. Yes, you're right, noted, and your eyes are sharp. Yes, my name is hearsay, and my date of birth is hearsay. David, I have not paid car tax and got my second notice in. When I sent the V5, I did sign all rights reserved. Okay. You would Grant Shapps, Transport Secretary. Okay. Julie Leonard, the Chief Executive Officer of the DVLA. All right, there. You need to inform them. You need to consider, no legal advice being given here, fam. You know how it goes, Gertez. You had me and Kevin for an hour on the .com all to yourself the other week, didn't you? So we'll look at that tomorrow in detail. But for others that are listening that have got similar quandaries, you would inform that the DVLA, the Driver Vehicle Licensing Agency, that there has been a transfer of titles and they may have the wrong information. There is no registered keeper. When you got your V5 back, Gertej, you've signed all rights reserved. You can retain all rights retained. You can put by all rights retained. VC it, VC, V coactus, V compulsiva, check them out, and you would let them know under the data, what the Data Act, the GDPR, etc., that they have incorrect information, that there is an owner, and the owner is whoever, and there's a beneficiary, and there's a trustee maybe, and the vehicle is not a vehicle, it's a private trust asset, and the titles have moved and their systems are incorrect. It is not public vehicle, it's private property. We have on the .com a lawful notice for you to also affix into the windshield and various places there. It's under the doctrine of notices. It's a lawful notice. I believe Mick was the man that made it, one of Serge's brothers from back, well, all of our brothers, but Serge's close brother from back in the day, and he was mingling in the circuits and he gave it away for free. Get Out of Debt org got hold of it, I think, and it was black and yellow at the time. I was talking to a few and I redid it, and I happened to see Serge. I think he saw it and went, "Hey, up, I know who made that." And he goes, "Well, you might have known who made the original one, but that was a legal notice. We've done a lawful notice. Trust and equity is legal, your person's persona, etc." But anyway, property titles, a bill of exchange is the architecture that will govern the bills of sale. Those of you that have seen 12 Years a Slave, when he comes to get whoever it is, the darker skinned brother slave there, and there's a white man, a white slave owner, and he's got whoever it is, no, it's Django Unchained, not 12 Years a Slave. That's more than why she eats the poo pie. You like my pie? That shit pie. Oh, wow. Sorry. Gertesh, we're talking about property and cars, aren't we? Come on. Django Unchained, white man, slave owner, middle of the night, another man comes. I only seen it once, I was quite tired at the time, and he takes Django from the white slave owner and he says, "That boy be mine. I got the bill of sale for that boy." Yeah, something like that. I'm sorry, but that's how it goes. So the bill of sale under the bills of exchange. So it's something there you want to look into, and handwritten and transfer, and let them know under the legal governance legislation, international general data protection rulings, GDPR, and they are obliged to update their records. I'd advise you to record the call, and I'd advise you to get the agent's name, and then look at Julie Leonard, Grant Sharps, Julie DVLA, Grant Sharps, Transport Secretary. We have other names and places we'll discuss tomorrow. All right, I've given you quite a lot there to help you. All right, if you can prove certain things and you can show them, then like I've still got the blue Volkswagen there, the Iron Horsey, third year, and I think the tickets that I didn't administer initially, I returned back to the issuing authority, and yes, they didn't like it, and I said, according to the bills of exchange, every contract that's offered in the United Kingdom has a 72-hour calling off period. Yes, it does, everyone. I'll give you this one for free at 1 a.m. on the morn. Go and search out the contractual allowance where you can decline and reject a contract by the BOE of 1882, and you have 72 hours, 3 days to return that parking ticket, that adhesion contract, etc. If it's an expensive horsey and you want to keep it, then you want to make sure that it's put away off the highway, even onto a neighbour's drive. A garage is nice because it's hidden in your private property. Noticing the local authority, that being the council, of removal of rights of implied access to the property and easements and etc. Also letting Grant and Julie know that if they send Crown agents and whatnot, then the common law jurisdiction that you employ and the removal of implied rights there, a schedule of fees, give them copies of everything you've given the agent on the telephone call that you've recorded, perhaps send them an email with the attachment on. Grant Shapps, Julie Leonard, and keeping it off the highway. They will send vultures to asset grab, land grab, houses and things will be going next when the businesses shut because of what they're doing here. Many dependent on the state, so being sovereign is where you defend and you'd manage and you would know and you would stand tall. It's a bit like being crucified in a way. I'm not trying to belittle Jeebus there and the story of that fictional character, but you know who you are and you're willing to stand there and take part and defend, and you will do well, I will imagine. And you get confirmation, names, details, and put the on them, and you can prove in a court of law. This is the crux now, that you've administered and served and noticed, and then you would argue that you have all of the lawful paperwork and articulation, and you've told everybody what's what, and now they've got to sort it out. So there are rogue agents, there are miscarriages of justice, there are confusions in offices, and there are ignorances of the law. It is no excuse, and so just be careful on that one, and we'll speak more tomorrow. All right. Yeah, I've just answered your question there, haven't I? Easy, Simon. Top of the morning to you, as it is. Yes. Yes. Good to see you. I only use my person for certain services. That's right. What is your name? Well, I'm sometimes known to go by that name when it's a benefit to me, but on this occasion it isn't, so I am not that name. Yes, you are. Oh, really? You can prove that, can you? Can you prove that I am that name? Let's see your proof. Yes, brother. Yes, fam. I can't see that last name there. Something reality. We have to make people understand unlawful conversion at birth and how to move through this public court. We have documents on Facebook group. Go to splspro.com and researched reality, and if you'd care to go to the Facebook Blue F, if you're not a supporter on the private domain, I'm going to add you blue now. Then you can download the you'll see the Sovereign Masters Guild foundational key competence, and there's about 5 publications in there. We used to have a nice banner on the top to show you. It's got the lion on it, and the shadow contracts is 3 you'd look at there, and we'll give you that for free. All right, so there's videos on this channel where I've read it out. There's also on YouTube an SPLS space PRO channel that I've got as a backup channel, and there's some videos on there that need to be watched, or me reading out those documents. So to be fair, you probably want to get the documents and have them stashed away in digital form, and then maybe listen to me rambling on on a hot day wearing a vest reading them out. Whatever your pleasure, Trevor. A load of DPO workers fitting their electric boxes and all the flats in my area looks dodgy. Will keep you informed. Oh, thank you. Yes, Alias, as always, you are all our eyes and ears, and we can't be everywhere, but together we can watch a lot more. You have got it, you've got it. Yes, no worries, and we've got more publications coming, and there's lots more. There's 360 something on the .com. We're nearly up to 330. I looked today and thought, wow, nearly 100 a year. I've got thousands of thousands of files across terabytes of data, but what I don't want to do is just fill up the resource literature vault library for the sake of it, just because it's got a lot of files in. They're all worthy, articulated, valuable, concise, hard to find, exclusive, rare, original, all of these things mixed in. So we're looking after you. We're keeping the public family at its level that it needs to be as well. So you're welcome, and it's our pleasure. I have multiple persons. I'm a multiple personalities. Yeah, we all know about the personification. So your legal personality, you have personalities, celebrities, and etc. Yes, so you might be of a disposition. Not, I know you're not so much, Simon. It may have been a joke that I do suspect, but if you have, you've kept it rather well hidden, and if I'll bear that in mind. I do believe it's a joke. Just one more thing. Pole shift, magnetic pole shift, earthquakes, volcanoes, hectic weather, random weather. A lot of you have been emailing me about pole shifts. Thank you for that. I'll continue to research that later. Personality order. Sorry, I've got paint on my phone cover. You're right. Yeah, personality order. I got you now. Order. Sorry, not this. Yeah. It's late. It's 1:00 a.m. I'm gonna roll soon. So, you got any questions or anything? We'll be back tomorrow. I just wanted to do a sovereign video. What is sovereignty? What do you classify it as? Persons, liability, faith against religion, logic against insanity, and the ones that created this have the plausible deniability. That would be the legal society, and what we've brought out in our publications, what others have brought out, from the days of John Harris and before, all the way up to 2020 now, is incredible. We're giving it a last push. Simon, you've got an email with 7 notices in to have a look at, my son. And yes, so is Claudio, Bernie, and Kevin, and Mia and Steve on the .com in the private. I've got them to look at. I'm looking at all the feedback now, and then we're looking at the international side, with the affixture of international applications for the supreme protection of higher non-United Kingdom or England. I'm looking at your political, your social, your religious and other such things there. I've mentioned about the 5 months up from the Second World War, don't forget, and what the powers and things have got in previous videos. So it's interesting times, and it's scary times, it's uncertain times, it's crazy times that are unprecedented. Well done for keeping it cool, well done for keeping it real and sticking in there. There's a lot of violence happening, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of aggravation, suicides. It is a concern, much a concern. There's a lot of repossession going to be taken. Again, like representation. How do you repossess something? You never actually possessed it in the first place. You didn't own it, you didn't lend any money. We're talking about bricks and mortar and iron horses now. You might have got a brand new iron horse or a brand new built house, and you may fall behind with something, and legally they come to repossess. Well, how do you? That means you already had it in the first place, doesn't it? So again, it's there's a bit of a grab coming. They pop bubbles and they move stuff on purpose, so then they can sit back later and watch you not be able to pay, the mortgages, fees, interest, etc. And then they come and take. That's where we're here to stop that, because enough of the bullshit, enough of the blood spilling, and we will treat them with the contempt that they treat us. We're stepping up a gear. You'll be pleased to know I've done a hell of a lot, an almighty amount, scratch that, an almighty amount. See how we used the wrong words accidentally, of work, and you are helping now, and I can't thank you enough. And blessings to all that support and care, donate, share. We are overrun. We had quite a hectic week last week, and we got a lot of experience. We was denied access recording remain private forever, but we can reference and go through and use from that, and it's incredible. We're going to make them pay for not allowing Mackenzie friends, layman apostolate advisors into the court to help present with mum and dad. So we found a backup fam, and we got on an alternative line, and the dad helped us help him, and truly amazing times by dad there. He give it his all, and we're not going to let this happen. We're not going to let thousands of young bloods be taken away, because what this Masonic Roman secular dirty little system does is it breaks up the family. The last bastion, I'd argue your mental state is the real last bastion, but the one of the last bastions of privacy, man's house, home, castle, family, blood, your property, you've sired it, the government had sweet FA to do with it. Even if there are times where property assets, young ones, offspring, children need to be helped, or mum and dad have made mistakes and errors, as long as they're little and there's no lasting damage and no crimes and no injury and no harm, but there's been errors, we can help work that out with you as a fam. The taking down of a family, breaking up mum and dad, separation and stuff, it makes us sick. Denial of representation, and even in the face of it all, we heard the father say, well, I'm not legally trained and we haven't had enough time and you haven't given us any representation, so what we saying, yes, well, you've had, we realise it's short notice, but we're carrying on anyway. Are we all sworn in? No comment. What do you mean, no comment? Hang on a minute. We've asked for proof of jurisdiction and authority. And it's like, well, sorry, I didn't have that case law to hand at the time, but we get in there, and we got defaults of the 30-day GDPR DSAR, conditional acceptance, cease and desist by councils. So, there's some work to be doing here, and we got some ass kicking to be doing. It's not over, and we shall sort it out, my fam. Don't you worry. A warrior calls, Carl Lentz, John Harris, legend. Thank you for that. All right. Let's say good night. God bless. Let's go. I'm just going to scroll and check. You got that, Simon? Nice one. Christopher James, brilliant man. I've never heard of him. Christopher James. I will check. Thank you for that. I'll be back tomorrow night. All be safe. Great chat day. You're welcome. Stay sovereign, self-governing, loving and safe. Yes, easy. A warrior calls coming. I got that. What's your truth on the plane we live on, my friend? We'll talk about the God. That's another hour there. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. If you look out the sky, what's my truth? In a nutshell, I looked outside when I was younger, and before flat earth even came into the mix, and I thought, if we're spinning on an axis at so many thousand miles an hour, and then we're going around the sun, which takes 24 hours, and then we're going around the Milky Way being carried by the sun, these stars shouldn't just do what they do when you look outside, and have one movement. There's three movements there. So when we look out to space, exactly, then while we're on space and the environment, but not now the physical physics of it, like the movement, but what about the air? Why doesn't it all get sucked out into the vacuum of space? Answer me that one, riddle me that. What? Oh yes, there's something keeping the air in. Is that gravity? Is it? No, it can't be. Why don't the oceans all spin out to the middle? Where's the movement signs? Things like that, just commonality, not too technical, we'll keep it simple. So I believe that some bullshit has been given to us there. Research reality. Santos is a major flat earth promoter. Sun and Moon, another channel. So we let the others do the work and we pick up and we help. But not tonight. I'll give you that. It's insane in the membrane, isn't it? As the old tune says. Breach of Article 6 human rights. Thank you, Simon. Civil procedure does not apply to woman. No, it does not. Indeedy. It's within the desecration of the authority and judge because they have legal title. Yes, objection. Thank you, Albert. Christopher James is a warrior calls moving through the courts. Now in Canada, I share the same truth as you, buddy. Yes, I. Hear me now. One love, Jarastafari, I and I. Bless up, Trustafarians. Big up to the darker skinned family for giving me some real history, some real vibes, some real music, and some real knowledge. It's a family thing, yeah. Alright, we'll be back tomorrow. Much love to you all. And it was a random chat about sovereignty, remember? That's why we're at. And you are all super sovereigns, if I may say so. All the 17 on here. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the likes and the subscriptions. You are scribes. Remember, Thoth is the king, the god of all the scribes. Hermes is allegedly the father of Thoth. I am with you, and you are going to stand on our shoulders, and we're going to look over the horizon, the shoulders of giants, and we refuse to kneel at the foot of greed. I will take a bullet for my family, a hit, an attack. I'm prepared to be detained, shackled, tortured. I don't care. I've done my job. I do care. Obviously, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't wish it on my enemy, but the time for playing is over. The gloves are off. Ding, ding. You know, it's Mike Tyson, Nigel Benn back in the day, if that was ever a fight. I think it was, and I can't remember now, but you get me. It's a heavyweight championship round here, and we are ready to take, you know, and we tried and we were denied. Love to all, for all the triers, the warriors, the herbalists, the shamans, the sovereigns, all of you. We love you. I thank you, and bless up. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you on the .com. We've got the Facebook running, everything's still as it is. Thank you for Tube for keeping the channel. I was sure we were getting deleted, so I have backed everything up. I suggest you get my authority here and start downloading and backing up your favourite videos. Who knows what's happening. Documents we're giving most away, all of our life's work for free. The information aplenty, a lot more clear and concise, articulated, referenced than it ever was. May the ghost of Christopher Hitchens and John Harris be with us all. I love you, thank you, and ciao for now. Bless up.